Welcome to Adulting with Moi. I am the founder, Jada Quick. Basically, this video is solely because I've been getting a lot of direct messages. I don't know why I said that. I just said DMs. But anyway, on my Instagram page. And if you do not follow, please follow. I'll post it below. But basically, it was about paying off debt. You know, they were like, I just graduated. How do you tackle this? You know, and I'm like, hey, you know, Adulting with Moi feels you because I'm doing the same darn thing. Okay, so my little tips, and I posted on Instagram, and I realized that I should just make a video for you guys on YouTube. Subscribe and follow me here. So I'm just gonna read them briefly, and I guess you can drop your comments below, questions, and we can talk about it. But basically, in short, I was just saying there's different types of debt. Obviously, I broke it down at least into different types of debt because I believe you have to prioritize your debt to really attack it the best way. You know, it's a lot to look at all at once, in my opinion. So I broke it down to credit card debt, student loan debt, and store card debt. Okay, there's a difference between all of them. If you don't know them, credit card debt is your credit card, very self-explanatory. Student loan debt is your student loan debt from college or high school, whatever you've done whenever you study and you took out a loan. And last but not least is a store card, which I claim them different than a credit card because you can only use that money at a store. So like Macy's, you know, Ashley Furniture, you know, Best Buy, store cards basically. Okay, so my advice on each of them, we're going to start with credit card debt, is pay at least the minimum each month. You can find your minimum on your account or profile. It should say it, or the app. If you don't know your minimum, definitely look that up. But your app should tell you pay minimum at least, and it should have an amount. If it doesn't, call them, or not call the app, call the bank and make sure you know that, because that's what you at least need to do if you cannot make and pay off the full amount by the due date. Okay, my rule of thumb is always to pay it off, but sometimes the reality is you can't. You know, in my situation, I cannot pay off all of my money by the month, you know. So with that said, I have to at least make my strides that work for me and that still help my credit build. Okay, so with that said, I say pay at least the minimum each month. Okay, no excuses. On time. I always say don't wait till the last minute. You know, I have my setup where if I get paid, you know, this Friday and it's due next Friday, I just like to knock out all my bills because I just don't want to be thinking about it, you know, when the weekend comes, or when I'm like, oh, I want to live my best life, and it's like, actually you can't, you know, my account's like, stop. Okay, so I don't want all that. I just want to have the relaxed mind of like, actually all my bills are paid and I'm just waiting for the accounts to get checked. Okay, so with that said, I would say just make sure you pay it on time. The other thing was, try to make it into more than one payment per month. That's a new tip rule that I've learned recently. It totally helps your score, or it just looks better to bankers and people that are looking at your credit, that you make double payments a month or maybe triple. The way to do that, obviously it's good to really just knock it out as much as you can. However, if you have $100, let's say $100, you pay $50 twice that month. It looks better that you're paying it because it just looks like you care about your credit. It looks at, you know, when you hit it twice, it's like, oh, she's trying to aggressively make this by the deadline, you know. Obviously, if you have more, then, you know, do what you can, but definitely pay that minimum, okay? So as you pay the minimum, this is my newest thing that I've been doing, because sometimes debt can be so alarming and very scary and intimidating. I always say, as you pay your minimum, I would factor in a small portion of your income that you can afford, maybe a percentage if you like, but just some set amount that you can always take from your income and pay on your credit card debt only. So what I typically do is I took my minimum and I make sure I pay the minimum, but then I also took, how did I calculate that? I think I looked at the interest that I got on it and I said, you know what, since the interest is going to get charged anyway, and every month that you don't pay, I said, let me pay that as well, because I know that I cannot zero out my credit card debt this month. So with that said, I hope that made sense. If not, I'll explain better. But basically, I have a set amount that I take out from my income every time I get paid and put that to my credit card debt on top of my minimum payment. So I'm utilizing all of the factors and tools I just gave to you guys, saying pay more than once, make sure you're paying your minimum, and then also then some if you can afford it. Okay. And if you do that every month or every time you get paid, you'll tackle it every so often. So I think that's a really cool tip. Use it, don't use it, it's up to you. Just let me know if you do and comment below. Okay, the next loan debt, or the next debt I said was student loan debt. We all have it. If you're lucky to not have it, I'm jealous, okay? But I chose what I chose and here I am. So with that, student loan debt is serious. Very, very much so. I don't understand or why there's a lackadaisical spirit around this. Do not get lax on federal government loans. They will come. They will get you. Or I don't want to sound like scary, but this is important. You do not want to go into I think it's deference. I may be saying the word wrong. But like in the sense where if you don't pay and miss a payment, they automatically think you're not paying them. And that's not good. It doesn't help you in the end. I had to tell someone, because someone was like, well, I don't know what to do with the loans. Hey, I didn't know either. I just knew they said I had 6 months of grace period. And I was like, thanks. That doesn't really help, but whatever. And I got an email from them. And everyone has different carriers. So like, I've heard of Heartland before, Nelnet, Sally Mae is a big one. I don't have Sally Mae, but all I know is I called them and I literally talked to someone. I said, hey, I don't know how this works. Please, can you help me? And come to find out, I'm glad I called. They were about to charge me right when my 6 months went up, amount that I just could not afford. I was like, excuse me. And the thing is, they don't know unless you tell them. And I think that was a big thing when I talked to the woman on the phone. She was like, yeah, a lot of millennials, or just people in general, don't want to talk to us. It's like, we want to help you make the payments because we don't want to come after you either. And I said, that's true. So I would say, and I wrote it down this way, always pay on time. Okay, please pay on time, because it will trigger it and say, hey, you're not paying. And they'll I don't say they will garnish your paycheck, because they won't. It's not the Fed like that, but definitely a few or a lot of missed payments, probably they could do that. So I said, stay in contact with your provider. They give you a number for a reason. They email you for a reason. It's not just to annoy you. It's to remind you that if you need help, please reach out. I've yet to experience where I couldn't pay it, thank God. However, like I said in my story before, in the beginning, I could not pay the amount they said. So I actually talked to them and we worked out a payment that I can actually afford. So dropped it down, and it's going to rise every 24 payments, which is cool, because hopefully in 24 payments, I'll be able to afford a little bit more, as I settle, as adulting goes. Okay. So with that said, definitely stay in contact with them. Okay. I wrote, they are here to help. Call them, introduce yourself, ask them questions on payment plans, discuss your interest rates, all of that. You should understand, and they're there to help, okay? Again, as you pay your monthly amount set by the loan servicer, factor in a small, affordable percentage you can always take from your income to put towards your student loan debt. It goes back to what I said in the credit card debt. If you can do another pool of your income of percentage for that, do that as well, because it is there. But do remember that this is a long-term debt, and it's okay and it's totally normal not to pay it off in 2 years. Your credit card debt is something you want to pay off short term. Your store card debt you want to pay off short term. Student loan debt, you could give it some time, almost like a home loan or a car loan, like you have 6 years for that. Try to factor that in, okay? The next debt would be store card debt, okay? This is the devil, okay? I say that because always around. Like, I'm actually I'm gonna introduce this later on, because I like to do it on my own and then give it to you guys to make sure it works, or at least give you more of an authentic feel to it. But I've been working on to pay off 3 store cards in a year and a half, which has been challenging, but here I am. I actually just paid off 1, which is great, this past month, so I'm very excited. And with that said, I got all of the emails in the world saying, hey, you have X amount of limit available. I'm like, duh, because I just paid it off. And they're like, oh, you should go buy this. It's like, no, you not about to trap me again. So it's all part of the scam, okay? I was lucky to get a promotional purchase where I got 0 interest for the first 12 months, I believe. And so with that said, I did not have to pay on interest of what I didn't pay. So that helped me. So my goal was to go hard, like pay all of that debt off before the deadline or maturity date of that. Because once it passes, whatever's left over I don't pay, even if I'm making my monthly payments on time, I will have to pay that plus interest. And that's how they make money. That's how they keep you forever. So yeah. The other thing is, when you're paying, sometimes they like to send you payment guides. They say minimum payment, which you have to pay. Definitely pay the minimum payment. However, they'll say you can pay a lower amount, or maybe a little bit above it. And if you do that consistently, you will enter the zone where your maturity date will pass and you're paying now in interest. I would try, if you can, always pay the minimum. But if you can do a little bit more in a month, and then you notice that this time you have a little more money, throw that on there. I personally, and I'll explain this in my other video in more detail, I made a chart. I broke it down to, like, it's really, you have to know your finances to do this, but you break it down like, hey, this is the deadline. How much do I have to need to sacrifice or pay or do to get that debt paid off before that interest pulls in? Okay. So my little written note to summarize this up was, if you are able to receive a promotional purchase like I suggested, such as an interest free for a certain time period, do your best to pay off that card before interest starts. Don't just pay the minimum on your store card or pay the suggested amount like I just mentioned, because that is calculated with you eventually having to pay interest after your no interest period is up. Okay, so it's all a scam, all right? So just, beat the system, okay? The other thing is, always pay at least the minimum, but also calculate how you can afford to pay the total amount over the time period that is interest free. Like I said, I just explained in a bigger way. That's what I'm doing, and I would encourage you guys to do the same. Okay, well, thank you so much for listening to my tips on paying off debt. Feel free to comment below, follow the handle on social media, Instagram as well as YouTube. Like, follow, and subscribe. I'll post it below so you guys can see it. But yeah, thank you for watching Adulting with Moi. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.